Johnny here for Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, here to talk to you about the automotive world. So what's going on? You've got some videos telling you that, sales are really down because yards are full, and they're right. Yards are full, but they're also wrong. Those videos are wrong. Yes, yards are full, as you can see behind me, but sales are actually up. They're up by about 15% compared to a year ago, and that's a big increase. So while inventories have come up significantly, and the biggest gains are actually from the Japanese brands that have gone from a year ago next to no inventory, such as Nissan, Honda. Tesla's actually had a big improvement as well because inventory production has gone up at those brands. And for brands that have more inventory, well, that's where you're going to get rebates. That's where you're going to save thousands of dollars, like models like the Ford Edge, the F-150. So yes, Ford has a lot of F-150s for sale. There's also a lot of rebates. You can also expect a lot of rebates on GMC trucks and trucks from Ram. Inventories are way up. Look at all those trucks behind me, but that doesn't mean that this year is a total disaster. Sales are actually up by roughly 13.3% from a year ago. That means 1.28 million units per month roughly. And it is a decline of 4% from the month of August 2023. But that's because there is less selling days in September because of Labor Day. And new vehicle sales for some are going to be up by over 15%. So we're going to be close to 15% for the overall average for the year. Big gains from Honda that had no inventory a year ago. Toyota still very low inventory, not because they're completely, selling a crazy amount, but that's because production at Toyota is still low. So if you do go to a Toyota dealership, you might be stuck with bogus upcharges, dealer fees, and forced services or products being sold for more than they're worth. So watch out for that. Build the vehicle online. Make sure that you're getting the right price on your Toyota, because when there's scarcity, there's also often some abuse. Now, there isn't scarcity at the American automakers. The UAW strike has not caused inventories to drop down. They haven't put all UAW workers on strike. They originally only started off with about 12,000. They're near in the low 20,000s now. So the UAW strike hasn't killed inventory yet. So for the month of October, we're seeing fantastic rebates on a lot of Fords. Big rebates, because as inventories go up, Ford, and just like other automakers, will control those inventories from getting out of control and overpacking the lots, which we're close to that now. And guess what? We have fantastic rebates. So that's good news for buyers. Now, for brands that do have big inventories, if you see a dealer with a huge inventory, realize there's a cost to that. So let's say this dealer has about $15 million, $14.8 million in new vehicle inventory. Well, they're going to be paying 7 or 8% interest rate on that. So they've got an interest in getting the metal moved. So sit down with someone, work out a deal, because dealers will be enticed to deliver you a vehicle. This isn't like it was a year ago where they had, the huge end of the stick and too many dealers. A lot of fair dealers out there sold at the fair internet price, but some dealers had, bogus big dealer fees or adjusted market value fees. We all heard about the story of the Ford Bronco. Well, right now at this dealer, there's 5 brand new Ford Broncos for sale, and all of them are at MSRP. Now, this isn't a model with a huge rebate from Ford because it's still quite scarce. But if you go to the F-150, there are rebates on the F-150 gas, petrol-powered version. Lots of models of that, so you will get a rebate. And even Ford for the EV, the F-150 Lightning, because inventory started to get high on that, no coincidence, they dropped the price by about $10,000. So watch out for models, dealerships that have a lot of inventory, and models that they have a lot of. Expect a good rebate on it. Check it out on the internet. for the special manufacturer rebates to make sure you get the right price. Now let's talk about the industry as a whole. What's going on?
Gonna give myself a very comfortable break sitting in this 2024 Ford Mustang. Folks, you gotta check it out. This thing sounds better than the brand new Corvette. But for general market news, we'll talk more about this during our live this Sunday night. So not Monday, we're gonna do it Sunday nights, 7 o'clock. So check it out. We'll have more automobile news. But for the general market, we've got big news here. Sales for Q3 2023, so third quarter, were actually pretty impressive. They were mostly, they're mostly kept high because, well, some companies were able to do a lot increased volumes in fleet sales, but that's normal after neglecting fleet sales in 2021 and 2022, where manufacturers like Ford, GM, and Dodge focused on really the consumers, bringing vehicles to the consumer, and less so for fleet sales. They kind of asked companies to hold on, wait. They fed them next to no vehicles, and now, well, with their extra production, they are finally getting and filling those orders for fleet sales. So that definitely helped. But Q3 new vehicle market actually finished slightly above what Cox Automotive had predicted, of 15% increase. There is actually 3.93 million vehicle units forecast for being sold for sales volume, and that's up from 3.42. So they thought it'd be 3.42 million, ended up with almost 4 million units sold in Q3, and some pretty strong sales numbers. The leaders were General Motors, Toyota, despite Toyota having low inventory due to low production, Hyundai Motor Group, and Nissan. So that really helped push everyone forward. Ford also had double-digit gains, and almost every brand had double-digit gains from a year ago. So pretty much everyone was between 10 to 20% higher in sales volume than a year ago. So if you hear certain YouTube channels saying that this year is a sales disaster because interest rates are way too high and that it's the worst time ever to buy, that's not the case. Sales are actually pretty good because while production has increased dramatically from 2022, which helped restock in dealership inventory, so a huge problem for anyone who's complaining about the automobile market in regards to dealers 1, 2, and 3 years ago, it was all about low selection. Well, now we finally have that selection. You get to pick your color, you get to pick your equipment. So now is a great time to pick a vehicle, and manufacturers, smart ones, are having great sales because while their inventories are high, they're still selling a lot of vehicles because they're increasing incentives. Except for one exception, Stellantis. Stellantis is actually trying to go with that low volume low volume formula, so they're keeping their prices high. And well, according to Cox Automotive, Stellantis traditionally has customers, a larger percentage of customers who have a little more trouble when it comes to credit. So not as great credit as some other brands, and as a result, it's affecting their sales. So while everyone's posting double-digit success stories for sales volume, Stellantis is actually down 1%. So expect, if you're going to buy Stellantis product, really work out a fantastic deal because they are trying to keep prices high. So don't fall for that. If you do get a Stellantis product, make sure you get a huge rebate. They've got a lot of volume, folks.
Now, Honda sales jumped 53%, and that's mostly brought on by a huge change in inventory, huge inventory increase. Nissan is up by 40%. Also, Nissan, huge production increase. Unlike Toyota, still having production issues, so good luck finding a Toyota in stock at a good price. Stellantis, though, however, down a little more than 1% from a year ago, and that's because, well, they're in pursuit of higher transaction prices, but with, as we can see, as a result, lower volume because their production is high. Even, we're talking pre-UAW strike, but even with the UAW strike, they almost need this strike. They're not selling enough. Their production is going to be too high. They're going to be overfilling their lots and dealerships. So that's a problem. Negotiate a big deal from them. Now, when it comes to Hyundai Motor Group, Kia and Genesis, they've all beat out their records from last year. And Hyundai Motor Group, it's actually impressive. They were in 7th back, pre-2020, and now they're in 4th place, right behind Ford for overall sales in the US. When it comes to inventory, the story is actually pretty impressive because inventory is up 68% from a year ago. So we can finally pick and find the vehicle we like and want on the lot, almost very likely without having to order and wait for months and months, which was the true sad sob story of 2021 and 2022. A lot of people got pushed out of the market or pushed into the used market because a lot of us like to actually test drive and sit in the vehicle and verify it before buying it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, folks, to order a vehicle and wait, 3 to 6 months. Heck, some situations, in cases like the Ford Maverick hybrid, some people were waiting 20 months, but wait times should be going down for that. Ford Bronco, we've got some people that waited 2 years, right around the 2-year mark, give or take, but that is now getting under control as well. However, the UAW strike has closed the Ford Ranger, Ford Bronco factory. So if you're waiting on a 2024 Ford Bronco or a 2024 Ford Ranger like I am, we own a Bronco Wild Track and we are very much looking forward to a Ranger Raptor. Well, that's not going to happen soon because that factory is closed, and I think this is going to be a long strike. More on that on the Sunday Night Live. In the meantime, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and the bell notification to not miss out any crucial, important auto news and tips and tricks to save you thousands of dollars. Make sure you don't go quite yet because we've got 2 more really cool pieces of information that you need to know. But in the meantime, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button now and make it to our Sunday Night Live. Now, inventory, here's the cool facts. Inventory is up by 800,000 units from just 1 year ago. So that means days supply, how many days it takes to sell a vehicle, which helps. The higher it is, the more inventory there is. So those two things are connected. Now, the days supply is up 33%. So that means inventory is up. More selection, 800,000 units extra from a year ago sitting around, so we can finally pick out vehicles. Like I said earlier, the Ford Bronco is actually available. We've got 5 for sale at this dealership. So it's a success story. We're recovering from the pretty rough 2 years in auto sales where not a whole lot of people were happy with how things were going. Really high prices, dealerships, not manufacturers, dealerships way overcharging. Then at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, huge price increases from all automakers to help combat and deal with those inflation levels. We're looking at inflation of 7 to 10% per year over 3 years. Well, guess what? Over 3 years, prices have gone up by about 30 to 40%. But now with rebates coming down, not on rare models like the Ford Bronco, still higher interest, no rebates, but the petrol-powered F-150, the 1500s of GM and Ram, they're coming down with better interest rates now, bigger rebates. This is a good news story for everyone. Even though sales are up, we can't, some people are wishing and hoping so badly for sales results to be bad that they're saying it's a horrible year for sales because they hope that's going to bring down prices, but it's not. It's been actually a success story. Huge success when it comes to sales this year, double-digit gains from last year, but we're still getting rebates with that good news. So it's just an overall good news story of things returning back to normal. But yes, we've had 30%, a little less than 30% inflation in the last 3 years. So prices have come up by about 30% as well. So it will, if you're currently paying $600 a month for your vehicle that you bought back in 2017, 2018, 2019, you can expect that payment to go up quite a bit. If you had a $600 payment, it's now $800. If you had an $800 payment on a pickup is now pretty much on average $1,000. And that's the bad news, but that's the reality of the new world. And I'd say I'm not gonna wait around hoping vehicles are going to get less expensive, because I only expect them to get more expensive as time moves forward. But we got good rebates now, and trade values are still pretty decent. The used market has not collapsed. So that's great news for our trade. So until next time, I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please hit subscribe and make it to our live show this Sunday night at 7 p.m. Take care, everyone. We wish you all more cars and more power.